So, this is the Wicked Feminist Podcast, where we acknowledge the struggles of the marginalized, the oppressed, and the socially excluded. These are people that have been historically disempowered by a set of discriminatory groups. We have women, people of color, people with disabilities, people of the lower economic social status, indigenous people, and so on. So sit back, relax, and join us as we dive. Welcome to the Wicked Feminist Podcast, where we discuss all things feminism and its intersections with cultural politics, where we also acknowledge the struggles of the marginalized, the oppressed, and the socially excluded. Today, I'm your host, and I have an amazing guest with me. Her name is Zainab. Zainab, can you please introduce yourself to us?
Hi everyone, good evening. My name is Zainab. Zainab as well on Twitter, and I go by Olori Royal on Instagram.
Okay.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. It's so lovely to have you on the show, Zainab. Thank you for honoring the invitation.
Thank you.
Okay, so we will be talking about patterns of violence in relationships, in abusive relationships today, and I would want you to break down the patterns of violence. But before that, I want you to shed more light on violence in abusive relationships. What it means.
Okay, violence in abusive relationships involves repeated behaviors, repeated patterns like threats, verbal abuse, physical assault, involving two consenting adults who are in an intimate relationship. So when you start seeing patterns of violence in relationships, it's usually between people who really know each other intimately, and those patterns maybe they can start small and then they grow or they snowball into something really uncontrollable. Examples I've heard from people, personal experiences, it pretty much repeats itself. The patterns pretty much repeat themselves. So the person who is, supposed to be the closest to you ends up being the one being violent or, being abusive in the relationship. And patterns can be subtle. They might not be noticed at first. For example, like controlling behavior. One of the patterns is controlling behavior. You might not notice that your significant other, your boyfriend, your husband, your partner is controlling, but then he monitors basically everything. He has you on a clock, he monitors your periods, as in is that serious, So sometimes, yes, it's cute, like, oh, that's so romantic and all that, but when it becomes overtly impulsive, it becomes like you're feeling pressured. The person begins to pressure you, the person begins to control you, the person begins to say, oh, you're supposed to be here by this time, you're supposed to be here by 2, why aren't you there? Or you told me you're going to be at school for 2, what happened? Not considering the fact that life happens at every point. So even if I tell you I might be here for 2, something might come up and maybe make me not show up by that time. Doesn't mean I'm out doing something wrong. But abusive partners begin to read negative signs immediately. So yeah. What else as a pattern?
Well, that would do. For introduction's sake, that would do.
All right.
Okay, so thank you for that. Okay, so I want to ask you why you think victims sometimes return or stay with their partners. Like, what could be the cause? Like, this person is obviously trying to use coercive, controlling ways to dictate your life. You know, it could include physical abuse, emotional or psychological abuse. So why do they like stay back or return to their partners? Like, what could be the cause? No, we really don't know, because we're just trying to like say from our own perspective, like, okay, what could be the reason why this person keeps going back to this person?
One of my personal beliefs is a woman should be empowered in every facet of her life. Education is very important for the girl child. It's also important even for us as women. We don't stop learning, we don't stop evolving, we don't stop developing ourselves. The reason I said that is that's one of the reasons why some women actually don't leave, because they think what they are going through is okay. They think what they are going through is normal. They think that is part of the challenge, or when they say challenges in relationships, they assume that beatings or being violent or their partner being violent toward them is normal. So that can change through the evolution of her mind. When she knows who she is, she understands her identity as a woman, she understands her value. She would not stay back. But we find that even educated women too, powerful women, rich women, influential women also stay in abusive relationships. It could be for shame, stigma, like societal conditioning, which plays a major role. As a matter of fact, societal conditioning in the sense that, okay, if I leave, they're going to say I'm a single woman with children, or if I leave, they're going to say, oh my God, this girl, she couldn't keep her home, stuff like that. So irrelevant, really irrelevant, but it has built boulders in their minds. So the mind change is what I feel will enable people to walk away from abusive relationships. I was talking to someone recently who happens to be going through the patterns of abuse in her marriage. As a matter of fact, they have been married for I think 8 or 9 years. They haven't had kids yet, anyways. So the abuse started as, controlling behavior, verbal abuse, emotional abuse, financial abuse, and then it degenerated into violence, the beatings. The beatings are usually the last phase of abuse. When he feels he can't more, or he's not getting the results of being dominant, then he starts to beat. They haven't had kids, and her husband is already being violent toward her. And I said, I don't think you should stay. You already have a job, you have a good job, you're comfortable, you're doing well. Why don't you get a place of your own and just take some time out and heal for yourself? And she goes, no, she has not had a child yet, so she has to go back. I said, must you have a child with this guy? It is even going to make the situation worse than it is already. So I feel society doesn't help much. They condition women to think their identity is wrapped around a man. You must have a man. You must be married at a certain time. You must have a partner. You are not a respectable woman if you are not married. If you're not a titled woman. Those things are, for me, they are so mundane. Your identity actually starts from the day you were born into this earth. I always say that your identity starts from there. You don't have to wait till when you are married to own an identity or become who you always want to be. So society doesn't do much. Stigma as well, the shame of maybe people mocking here and there. Those are the major factors. Then also drum, of course, where you love your abuser, or you love the abuse that is going on. Some girls actually say that, oh, if my man is not, if he doesn't shout at me, I don't feel good. I don't know if you've heard that. I find it really weird. You say if he doesn't shout at you, you don't feel good, or if he doesn't hit you. I mean, that's like psycho behavior. I don't know. I don't know whether it's a fetish for some girls, but I mean, how can you say you're not good if your man doesn't hit you? Come on. So the Stockholm syndrome makes us love our abusers. It makes us love the abuse. We normalize it. We think it is normal. It is okay to go through abuse. I mean, they say stuff. Yeah.
On that point you just made, I want to add something that victims not being able to leave relationships might actually come from the abusive partners themselves. You know why? Some abusive partners actually work very hard to keep victims trapped in relationships. Like, they can keep them isolated from friends and family.
Yes.
This can actually reduce their self-esteem. Like, okay, the abusers have this thing called savior complex. Like, I'm the only person that can love you this way. I'm the only person that save you. So they see every other person as, oh no, if it's not my partner, I'm not going. If it's not my partner, I don't want to.
Yes.
So sometimes these are the reasons why it's hard for them to like leave or return back to the abusive relationship.
Yes, you're very correct. It's a pattern. I mentioned repeated patterns when we started talking.
Yeah.
Repeated behaviors. So isolation is also one of those behaviors. Before you know what's happening, you don't have a social circle. You don't have a social life. Your life is practically wrapped around this person. Everything of yours is your itinerary. I have someone who told me she couldn't start a business because her husband said, you have not run it by me. And if you haven't run it by me, I don't see any reason why you should start it. Or he says stuff like, you have run it by me and I don't approve. And this is someone who is passionate about art. He loves art, and then he goes, okay, you didn't run it by me. She opened an Instagram page and he went, why did you open an Instagram page without my consent? Seriously. So it is that crazy. And I don't know, should I say we have given men kind of too much control? I don't know. I don't want to sound I don't want to, before they'll come for me.
I think in that example that you cited, I think the man perceived the act of independence as a threat to his own control. Like, oh my God, getting to have this power to do things on our own. What am I going to do? What am I going to control? What do I get to control? Where's my power? What do I get to say?
Yeah.
I think that's the problem. That is what happens to abusers, because the control is how they get you. So when they no longer get to control you, what is there to abuse again?
Exactly.
You've gained your power. You know your value. You know you can do this and that without them. So when you can do that, they're like, what am I going to do now? I have to find a way to make her guilty, to make her back to square one, to make her come to my command. Do you get?
Yeah, I get.
So that's it. That's just the problem. Thank you for that lovely point. Also, I want us to move to types of abuse, because personally, I feel like majority of women, or majority like people in general, physical abuse that's dangerous, that is most common. But I wanted to know that other types of abuse or abuses are actually as dangerous as physical abuse. Can you enlighten us on that?
Okay, yeah, I can. There are several types of abuse. Aside from physical, There's also emotion where your partner, your significant other, takes advantage of your feelings, gaslights you, tries to bounce off your trigger points. Everyone has triggers, everyone has things that are conversations that they find difficult to talk about, or things that trigger them, bring back where your significant other withholds emotions, withholds care, love. All those things can be termed as emotional abuse. Bounces off your trigger points, knows your triggers, and then goes on ahead to trivialize or magnify in a way to hurt you. Maybe your partner knows that you have an ailment or you have an allergy. Maybe you're asthmatic, and he goes, you're having an argument, or you're having a fight, maybe a verbal, having a verbal disagreement, and he goes, "Don't die, you you have asthma," or something like that. Those are really.
Why would anyone say that?
Oh my goodness. You have no idea. They can actually say that. They can say that. There's also financial abuse, where your significant other withholds finances or withholds money, or does not disclose their patterns when it comes to finances with you.
Okay.
Your boyfriend, your husband, who is supposed to provide, even though they don't like to hear that anymore. But I mean, the real man provides for his girlfriend or his wife or partner. And then when he withholds from her, he removes the feeling of security she gets, that, okay, this guy has my back no matter what. When it comes to finances, he has my back. He's open. He talks about how much he earns. He doesn't hide it. There are some people that actually hide how much they earn from their partners, from their wives, from their girlfriends. They actually hide it. They don't disclose. So yeah, they don't disclose. They even don't disclose, and then they try to take what's yours. For example,
I think that's where I have a problem. Like,
okay,
I think that's where I have a problem. Like, you're not open with your own finances, but then you think this other person should be giving you systematic reports of how they spend their money. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Like,
yes, I
do. I'm not providing. Like, you get. I didn't really want to say anything about providing or not. But what I'm trying to say is that you feel like you are not liable to them. Like, yeah. And you don't know what you do with your money. Fine. But then why are you trying to put a tracker on their own finances? That's why I have a problem. Who are you?
Exactly.
Who are you? Seriously.
Sexual abuse. There's also sexual abuse, psychological abuse. Yeah, so those are the types. There's still so much more. There's one I just discovered, technological abuse, although I'm not so sure what that really connotes, because when you say technological, what do you mean? Is it in the advent of technology we're using today? That means the person can hack your phone, the person can control your social media handles, the person can take on your identity just because they're trying to isolate you from everybody else. And so those are my types of
I've actually heard of people cloning other use WhatsApp their spouses to check their
Yes, I've heard
message,
that.
read it, conduct technological abuse.
Yes. Yes, you're right. I've heard that as well. Even cloning the whole phone itself.
Are you serious?
So anytime a message drops on your phone, the message drops on theirs as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so that's some obsessive acts right there.
As in very, 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 very obsessive.
There's this one to reactive abuse. Reactive. It's a
You
case
said what?
whereby I said there's this one to
Reactive.
yeah, reactive.
Okay.
It's a case whereby the tries to, let's say for example, touch you or say something about you, then when you try to understand why they're yelling at you, then they become the victim.
Yes. Okay. Yes, I get it.
Do you get
Um.
it?
Yes, they start telling you, no, I didn't mean it that way, or you
Exactly. You
didn't
must be brain.
understand me.
It's all in your head. Like
You didn't.
he just yelled at me, and I'm trying to understand the reason why you're yelling, and immediately you become like, why are you shouting? Why are you yelling? I'm like, you yelled first. You yelled first. For that point. So can we move to ways to seek help and warning signs to recognize?
Okay, I'll start with the warning signs to recognize. First off, you'd have to distinguish between what is control and what is care. Those are the two things to yes, you distinguish between care and control, because it is so interwoven that you might not even know which one is which, you know. But starting point would be being able to decipher between the two, and also
I'm
being
sorry.
able to.
I think that can stand as love bombing, like trying to like show you excess affection and all that just to get your guard down. When they attack you don't even see it coming.
You don't even see it coming, and when it even comes, you don't think that there's anything. Be able to distinguish between what is love, and if he did something nasty to me, I wouldn't even know, because he has showered me with gifts, he has given me attention, he's always there 24/7. Even though you're in a relationship, marital or partnership, it shouldn't be 24/7. Your life should not be wrapped around this person 24/7. You have a life. You have a life, and that doesn't stop, even if the person is in your life too. So I think to be able to establish boundaries, when you realize that your boundaries are encroached upon, that's another warning. I said cruelty to other people except you. You know how he's nice to only you, and then he treats everybody else shabby? That is another warning sign. You know how you guys go out on a date and you see how he treats the waiter, and he's all lovey, all doting over you, but then he treats people who serve him badly. That is a warning sign. So yeah, so those are the three major things I consider as warning signs. So number one was distinguishing between care and
control.
Distinguishing between care and control. The second one was, oh my goodness, sorry, it just slipped me.
Don't worry, just skip that part. Just go.
Okay, that's fine. Okay. So,
Okay.
and ways you can seek for help. There are so many organizations now that run care for women who have been abused, women who are currently going through abuse. Yes, there are so many organizations. I would leave some links for you on your Twitter DM because I don't have them off the top of my head. But
Okay.
then you also need a strong support family wise. If the family doesn't necessarily have to be people that the family you are born into. Your circle can become your family, your friends. You have to have like-minded people around you who would understand if you are in distress. Some people just gloss over no matter, even, how you smile and some people still know that there's something wrong.
Wrong.
You can
Yeah.
be happy and then your friend can tell that something is biting you. So you need a strong support system around you. That is very important. Secondly, you need to reach out for help, professional help. Now, I'm talking about therapists, therapy, because even after maybe you have to exit the environment of abuse where you are, you need people who can help you to come out of the trauma that you have experienced. Yes, you need people to talk you through it. Professionals, therapists, counselors, psychologists, because sometimes abuse really messes up with your mind. There's the National Center for Domestic Violence. There are helplines under that organization. There's also Clean Foundation, an NGO in Nigeria that caters to women who have been abused and also caters to children as well.
Okay.
Then there's the Domestic Violence and Sexual Abuse Agency. That, yes, that organization also caters to women in distress who are widowed, separated, divorced, have been abused. So they provide some form of counseling and, help, at least some guidelines that will lead the woman to, a new path in her life. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
so.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh,
It
my
was
pleasure.
fun. It was fun. It was exciting. I also learned a lot as well.
In conclusion, okay, let me just recap everything that you said about domestic violence, patterns of violence in abuse. Psychological abuse. I feel like all this cyberbullying, sexting,
Yes.
unsolicited pictures to people,
Yes.
online harassment. I think they can all count as technological abuse.
Yes.
And I feel like
Absolutely.
a lot of people have been going through them, but they never really notice or classify them as abuse. They just feel like, oh, this person, you're doing, stop it. Wait, it's actually you being abused.
Yes, it is.
And
Because
I feel
your
like,
privacy is being violated. Your space is being intruded and you didn't give the permission.
yes, yes. And I think abusers also use this medium to control who they are trying, their victims. Yes, they try to use the platform to control their victims. So yes, so thank you very much. And also you mentioned something about trying to differentiate between control and care. Some things really look like care, but it's just abuse. It's trying to take advantage of you. Honestly, I really like that point.
Okay.
Then financial abuse too. Yes, that too. And I feel like we don't really talk about the aftermath of going through an abusive relationship. But I mean aftermath, like maybe let's say you get into a very healthy relationship after what you've gone through. in that abusive relationship actually affects you in your healthy relationship, because you're like, oh my god, nobody's screaming at me, nobody's
Yeah,
yelling, nobody's trying to track my expenses, nobody's trying. You are used with that. You're used to that.
negative energy. Yeah,
Yeah, and you might literally end up ruining your healthy relationship, because you're like, no, I'm not used to this, I'm used to that. So I
yeah,
think we really need to talk about the aftermath of going through an abusive relationship. That's
yes,
another thing.
it is.
Yeah,
I,
that's
I
another
think
thing.
so. I think so. Really, I agree with you as well. Because like you said, when you start treating yourself well, when you start loving yourself, I think it also reflects in how your partner treats you as well. Most times we grew up with this "I'm not enough" mindset. I'm not good enough. People were talking us down consistently, so it formed majorly part of our lives and how we related with guys. So we collected the barest minimum as the best there was, because we didn't even know how to treat ourselves. So I really agree with you that we should talk about the aftermath.
Yes, thank
Yeah.
you. According to statistics, I want to buttress to the Stockholm syndrome you mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
According to statistics, it showed that the abused, they usually want the abuse to end and not the relationship.
Yes. Yes, you're right. So
They
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 think,
they
oh, he's not a bad person. It's just that he has a bad habit.
and sometimes it's because the abuser has promised to change, a change that will never happen. In conclusion, domestic violence is a pervasive, life-threatening crime that affects millions of individuals, regardless of your age, economic status, race, sexual orientation, gender identity, religion, ability, or education level.
Can do everything possible to avoid such situations and still find yourself in a bad situation where you're being abused. Sadly, you can pray and wish that, oh, I'll never end up with someone who is violent toward me, and it just creeps up on you. So the awareness, putting it out there that this could happen, I think it's a good thing. I know that we don't pray to, the way we are with our mindsets in Africa and Nigeria, we don't like to experience negative things, but we should also look at the possibilities of challenges coming up, what to do when those challenges come up, and move past it.
Yes, let me just chirp in something. I recorded an episode like gynecological health, cervical and ovarian cancer, and I was trying to do this PR, to women and men to listen. And if I tell you that when I told them that, oh my, this podcast episode, okay, you might probably not listen to podcasts, but this one is
No, I'd listened to it. I'd actually even listened to that one. I listened to it yesterday.
If I tell you that when I told them it's on, I was trying to educate them the reason why they should listen to me. And they're like, God forbid, I'm not saying anything like ovarian. I'm like, people that have it, they did not wish it upon themselves.
Exactly.
It's the point of the podcast. So you can be aware.
Yeah.
You will be aware, you know that, okay. It is
Exactly.
not about God. To have you on this show, and I need to thank the listeners too for tuning in, for sitting back, relaxing. You're listening to the Wicked Feminist Podcast.